What's up, guys? Welcome to our subscriber text game breakdown. This is the series where I roast the text interactions that you guys send in, giving you no bullshit, actionable feedback that you can use to improve your texting success. If you have an interesting one today, this guy got ignored like 4 times off the opener. He was able to somehow get the conversation going through a lot of persistence, but unfortunately he also became needy and made several mistakes along the way that caused the whole thing to fizzle out eventually. So we're gonna analyze all of this and see what you can do better to avoid this happening to you. All right, without further ado, let's crack into the screenshots. So his opener here is quite unique. He says, hey, her name, cool overall skirt, grab a drink tonight, ? And his phone number. So this is obviously way too direct. I'm a big proponent of just, cutting the bullshit and being pretty straight up. But there's a level where you're just like way too direct. Like, I don't go up to girls I see on the street who I think have a nice ass and say, yo girl, that ass is gonna look so good in my bed with my fucking handprint on it. Although that might work sometimes, it's gonna often come off uncalibrated. This would be the equivalent of like, if you go to buy my product and on my sales page it just says, buy now. Enter credit card information. I don't tell you how much it costs. I don't tell you anything about it. I don't answer any of the frequently asked questions. I'm just like, enter your credit card number, It's a little bit too direct, obviously. So she doesn't respond to it. And he waits 3 days and says, I miss you. She doesn't respond. He waits 2 weeks and says, where are we at on this? She doesn't respond. And he waits another week and says, what's the status here? So here he's kind of treading the line between neediness and persistence. Now this would be straight up in the needy territory if he had sent these back to back, like, same day or next day, whatever. That would have definitely been needy. Because he waits a good amount of time in between these, this is kind of like straddles that line between neediness and persistence. So I think that's the only thing that really saves him here, is the fact that he wasn't like sending these texts like one after the other. The fact that he had waited a week, waited 4 days. So I think that really makes a big difference here. She says, hey, what are you up to? So he says, there's my girl. I'm just gonna leave this here so we never get stuck in this shit situation again. And he gives her a number. And then he says the lady should not have done this. I agree. So again, she gives him like a little bit of compliance, and then he just jumps on that way too fast. So it should be a little bit of like a text game. It should be a little bit of like a dance. Like, you give a little bit, she gives a little bit. And it shouldn't be like she goes in a little bit and then you just fucking jump on her and pull her in, So, this was the time to play it cool. I would have just said, she lives, winky face, and then would just, said like, just took my dog for a walk. How about you? Or something like that. So she says, haha, you're funny. How's Facebook dating? So here he's ripping off her spelling. He says, haha, hash, like hashish, ? It's kind of corny. I would have said, I would just respond to her question. I would have said, you're too sweet. And I would have said, it's all right, I've been too busy with work to really focus much energy on it. How about you, ? Right? So I would have kind of responded to her question there. But anyway, she says, haha, yes, like hashish. Also, it's important to note that there's not always one best optimal text. There's usually a series of texts, and you're going off the information that you have, which since the beginning information, you only have limited, info, and you have to pick one. Like, so sometimes there's a little bit of a gamble to it. It's like more of an art than it is a hard science. Basically, is the best way to explain text game. He says, ha, I knew you were high. I just don't like to mention like drugs this early on. Most girls won't give a shit, even, but some girls are just like, small percentage of girls, for them, it's just gonna be like kind of a turn off. They're gonna be like, oh, my ex-boyfriend was a stoner, fuck you, or something like that. So I like to get a feel for their personality before I kind of like mention that. So she says, haha, not quite. I prefer to party with people, lol. He says, here I thought you were in your parents' basement, stoned off your ass playing World of Warcraft, ... or Oregon Trail. It's not bad, actually. It's pretty funny, especially if she knows what Oregon Trail is. Yeah, it's not bad. I might have rephrased this differently. I would have said playing World of Warcraft or just trolling TikTok or something like that, something a little bit more relevant to her. She says, more of a glass of red wine and Super Nintendo type of gal. I would have said, and he says very classy, that tomboy, is that what you're doing right now? It's not bad. So the good thing is they got really solid, banter going now. So he seems to have completely recovered from, having to like fucking bombard her phone with like, 4 openers to now there's a conversation going. She's actively investing in it, and there's some good banter, good rapport. It doesn't feel like a forced conversation, doesn't feel like awkward. It doesn't really feel like job interviewish, which are all good signs. So pretty much kind of turned around at this point. So she says, no, not right now. I'm trying to pick a soup to buy and drinking tea while watching a show about models. Haha. I can't wait to hear what you're doing. Okay, he says, I thought you were high class. Tea time was at 4. I don't really get that. And I'm assuming sup isn't a win sign from Free People with shorthand for what's up painted on it. He has like kind of like a really, I would say like, I don't know, kind of like a, I would say Family Guy type of humor. Personally, not really my thing. Some of the things he says are kind of funny, but she seems to be relating to it pretty well, which is really all that matters because he's not trying to bang me, he's trying to bang the girl. She says, haha, yes, so I can sit in the window and say sup to everyone, stand up paddleboard, think I found one. He says, nice. Does it come with the paddle or just a repurposing one from her sex dungeon? So I like this text, it's pretty good because he's sexualizing it in a humorous, like fun, way that's related to the conversation. He says, yes, they thought it was the one, though it comes with a paddle. What do you do today? In case you're wondering why I'm struggling to read this, all this text here is really small on my end, so I'm like fucking squinting. He says, brains, those paddleboard people. I repaired a crack in my windshield, watered my landlord's garden, read, Zoom with my college friends, lived my #best life. Do you do all that? He's watered his landlord's garden. Yeah, my landlord gives me 50% off on land if I water his garden and suck his dick. But anyway, so I would have probably built on the pal thing. So here he had like a good little opportunity. I would have said, is it one of those that says daddy on it? And then I would have answered, pretty good. I took my dog for, I would say pretty good. Just, took my dog for a walk. I finished a big workout and solved world hunger, of course. How about you? Like something like that, like basically, like a little bit of a serious answer with like a few high value activities, like, having a dog is high value, working out, whatever, anything related to that, and then throw in some humor and then, ask about her. So that's kind of how I would have phrased that. But the way he did it is, it's pretty tongue-in-cheek, so it's okay. It sounds like he's giving off that whole, like, this guy's weird but kind of funny vibe. So she says different kinds of activities. I worked out, drove to a park, walked 3 miles, trimmed my plants, called my family, and that's it. Where do you live? So this is a good sign. So questions like, where do you live? Do you have roommates? What time are you going to be up until? These are good questions. These are called buying questions. So for example, this would be like if you were asking me, like, how much does your product cost? Do you have an upgrade to a yearly membership? In case you're wondering, the answer to that is yes. And like stuff like that, these are called buying questions, which you definitely want to see. I learned about this in sales a lot. So he says, he gives where he lives. My hanging plants really need repotting. I'll provide you red wine if you're willing and able to not kill them in the process. Okay, so they got some gardening role play going, which is good. She says that sounds like a fun date, so she's jumping on it. So really, you can see how this is turned around from the beginning. And that's actually the power of text game. You can really turn things around. I've seen, interactions that were like super negative where the girl was telling me like, fuck you. And then like 3 screenshots later, we're making plans for her to come over for a bottle of wine. So you can do a lot, if you're given enough, persistence and time. He says, for the plants too, I'm legit worried that I'll kill them watching some YouTube video on he says reporting, but he means repotting, especially my succulent. I would have thrown in a little more humor here. I would have said, especially my favorite succulent. But anyway, so this is fine. She says, you can do it. Succulents are hard. I always kill them. He says, hard. Oh no, here I was looking for a succulent expert. I guess I'll just have to be wine without the plants. Shoot me a text and we'll set it up. So I agree with the underlying thing that he's trying to do here. I would have just approached it in a much different and I would argue more optimal way. So succulents are hard. I would have said that's what she said, right? Like a little sexual humor here. And then I would have followed that up with, I guess we'll just have to sell for a bottle of wine then, right? Get her to agree to the general idea of meeting up with me. Have her say, haha, sounds good. And then he would say, good. We should get together sometime soon. Again, there's no such thing as like, well, I guess there is, but it can't hurt to like, soft close twice, right? Get her like a text that leads up to the soft close and then the actual soft close itself. So that's a good transition. Then I would figure out her schedule. I would have said, what's your schedule like? Then, I would have locked down a date. Only then would I have moved it to text, right? So I see this happen commonly. The conversation's going good, looks like it's gonna close, and the guys jump on I gotta move her text right away. In reality, that's really only necessary if, for example, she's taking forever to respond in the app because she just tells you she hasn't used it that much. Like, oftentimes, you don't need to move straight to text. You just a few more texts and you can actually lock down, a few more messages and you can lock down a date, and then you move to text and you have to do a lot less work over text. So she says, for some reason I can't text you. It says it fails, gives her number. So hopefully he didn't get his number wrong initially. He says, hi, it's blank from Facebook. Oh, hey, you ordered a sub for 2, right? Honestly, I don't understand what they're talking about, but she seems to get it. What you get is what matters. She says, that depends on how much you weigh. Haha, max is 275 pounds. I didn't know you were sporty. I would have responded to this. I would have said, I'm 276, but don't worry, it's all muscle. So again, here's like a fun little joke here. She says, well, all you gotta do is stand while you paddle. No? Yeah, I don't really get this humor, honestly. But she says, haha, we'll see. How's your balance, though? He calls it filthy. Yeah, I'm not up on all the latest slang nowadays. The English language has been transformed by text messaging, unfortunately. But yeah, so whatever. She's getting it, so that's all that matters. Oh, I got this. I'm a very skilled individual at sports. I would have said, what else are you skilled at? What else are you very skilled at? Or something like that. Again, moving in a like more flirty sexual direction. He says, do you even yoga, bro? It's pretty good. It's fine in this context, just a different direction. She says, probably just chill over here at her area or whatever beach I end up at. Maybe find some pretty lakes. He says, oh, very good. I was hope you had a blank beachfront property hoping, good Lord. Yeah, so this guy's being a little sloppy with his grammar. So just fucking take an extra split second. If you spend a minute thinking of a text message, you might as well spend an extra second just making sure that it's spelled correctly. Some girls are not going to care at all, but some are actually going to care a good amount. And there's going to be a lot of girls in the middle who care just a little bit, and you want to, of course, stack all the odds in your favor, especially when something really easy like that. So she says, so basically you're looking to be a house husband, get leisurely paddle trips, live on my beachfront property while enjoying all your newly potted plants. Haha, what's in it for me? So here I would have recited, I would have responded with, aside from multiple screaming orgasms, question mark, because she just made that perfect setup, for that, kind of sexualization. She says, I mean, are you allergic to coconut oil? So he goes in a little bit of a different direction here. I would have, I think my text would have been a lot better, but this is fine. She says, massages every day, question mark. I would have said here, oh, you know me so well already. He says only booty massages. Yeah, it's not bad. I would have probably said, of course, especially booty massages. I don't like only booty massages. It comes off a little bit too too crass maybe. But he also has a question. I'm using this booty example stuff because of the PWF Indian Prodigy explains text game YouTube video. But he says, but doesn't the word booty just make me sound like a retard? Who used the word booty? No, the word booty is fine. I just don't like this text that much in that context. Not bad. I would have just said, I would have just rephrased it a little bit differently. Yes, especially the booty ones, right? Just small change in, sequence of words can make a big difference. She says we can negotiate that. He says, perfect, we'll work that into the terms of our romantic date. That's fine. I would have said, cool. Right after we negotiate the multiple screaming orgasms part or something like that. Or cool, right after we negotiate cuddles, like any number of things that just kind of, I think, flows better. But this is fine. She says, great. Just put those booty massages down past date 8. So this is like a playful shit test. He says, oh yes, of course, they'll also be scheduled for dates 8 and beyond. Not the best. I would have said, here she's taking the prize frame very subtly. I would have said, no, we're going to have to wait till marriage for that, right? So she's like, oh, I'm gonna be the one deciding when we hook up. And then you just steal that frame from under her. Like, actually, I'm the one that's gonna be turning you down for sex. Which, it's kind of like the surface layer stuff. On the deeper level, it's really about who has the control of, the sexual dynamic, right? So she says, And so she doesn't respond to him. She just laughs at his message, and he says, "I didn't know how to reply to her. Just giving my comment, haha. Recommendations? I feel like I got lucky, and she reopened me the next day." So actually, his response was the best response. Sometimes the best course of action is no action. In situations like this especially. So you don't want to be always like fucking jumping on shit and responding. Sometimes, especially when it's not time sensitive, they don't have a date set up or anything like that, it's best to just let it sit. And I've seen this time and time again. When you do that, the girl will be like, oh shit, I actually got to carry my weight of the conversation, and she'll re-engage you. She'll be the one that starts pushing it, which makes her more invested, which makes the date much more likely to happen. So to answer his question, he actually did the optimal action here, and then she messages him the next day, what's up, his name, was the contract too much of a commitment, huh? So this is good. She's very, very casually referencing, basically what she's getting at is, hey, so are you still interested in meeting up with me, or did I just was I a little too playing too hard to get or something like that? Or did you, are you still interested in meeting up with me? That's basically what she's communicating that at. So he says, for you, her name, I'm confident I can rise to the challenge so long as you're not worried about getting too spoiled. It's okay. I would have said, of course not, comma. What, are you eager to start? Winky face. Like something like that. Playfully call out the fact that she's, not call it out, but just acknowledge, get her to acknowledge that she's also interested, that she has some skin in the game. Yeah, call out is the wrong word because it implies something negative. Basically just playfully get her to acknowledge that she's into this as well, right? So she says, you're a charmer, maybe we should chat someday. So good sign. So here she's like, basically what she's doing, she's like, I like where this is going so far, it's time for you to escalate. Unfortunately, she gives him a little bit and he goes a little bit too far. So she says, yes, of course, we're gonna chat over this bottle of wine. What are your early evenings looking like this weekend? So this is a poor close. This is the unfortunate side of, having, you have good banter, you get the conversation going, you bring it back, but you just get a little sloppy or a little lazy at the close, or maybe you didn't watch my, 4 steps to setting up a date video, and you're just fuck up the close, right? So this kind of close can work, but it's suboptimal, What I would have said here would have been, I would have said, good idea, comma, especially over a bottle of wine, right? Kind of soft close here. Get her to agree to that. Get her to say, yes, sounds good. Then you go for the more hard close, like what's your schedule like again. So yeah, I would have again. And sometimes you have to soft close twice. There's been numerous conversations where I would soft close the girl over Tinder, and then whatever, the meetup wouldn't happen, and then kind of some time would pass by. I would re-soft close her again over text before I hard close. So generally speaking, it's really hard to soft close too much. It's good to just kind of lead things towards the date to kind of imply that there's rarely such thing as too much buy-in from the girl. Unfortunately here, there's really not enough buy-in, and he just kind of fucks up the close. Now, what I would do here is I would wait a little bit of time and re-engage her. It's a shame to kind of give up so easily, especially because he came so far from that clusterfuck of an opener. So I would have said, I would probably follow it up after 4 or 5 days. I would have said, cat out your tongue or something like that, or if you're don't be shy, or if you're too nervous, I'd understand. A little bit of a cat takeaway here to re-engage the conversation. All right, so what are the takeaways here? Because along with doing some things wrong, he also does some things right. So persistence, good. Even though he kind of did ride that line between persistence and neediness, ultimately wound up working out, and he was able to just get a conversation going. A lot of guys might be really weird about double texting a girl and think that automatically ruins their chances, but the devil is in the details, and it really comes down to how long you wait in between each text. If they had sent that same sequence within a few hours apart of each other, he would have been hardcore in the needy territory, and she likely would not have responded. But because he was able to wait and space it out, it kind of was a little bit more in the middle. So that's good. He was also able to get a really good rapport going with her. She seemed to be investing. That conversation just felt smooth. It didn't feel artificial. It didn't feel like two people trying to force conversation. It felt like two people who like each other or like succulents exchanging, good banter. So that was good. Now let's take a look at a little bit more of the negative. I would say it came down to 2 things. First of all is that he wasn't able to close this optimally. He got sloppy with the close both times, and I think the big thing really is that she would kind of give him a little bit of a bone, and then he would just jump right at it. So this kind of the game I play with my dog, right? Like I'll give him a bone, he'll just chase right after it every time. But kind of it's not as fun for me because I know he's gonna always go for the bone and shit. Like if my dog, was a human, he would be able to play this game with me and kind of like make it more interesting, which is when you kind of have a little bit of like a back and forth, and it's not just one person like fucking throwing something. So it's a little bit of a crude analogy, but I think it works here. So when she goes in a little bit forward, you can't go from here to here. You gotta go to here, have her go here. There's like a logical way to talk about this. I also see this time and time again. Guys get a little sloppy after close. Maybe they haven't seen my 4 steps to getting a date video, and they just, the whole thing, even though they put in all this work, just doesn't happen. Fortunately, I don't think this is done yet. I mean, it might be, but there's also a good chance he can get this going again if he double texts her. And I would probably do a follow-up here, send her a little bit of a takeaway, get the conversation going again, reclose, this time do it progressively and smartly, and ultimately get the date. But we'll see if that happens for him. All right, hopefully you guys found this video valuable, and you know the drill. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. And if you haven't, make sure to check out our Instagram at Real Playing Fire. Check out our forums at www.forums.playingfire.com. There's a lot of stuff that we post there that we can't post on YouTube, so you definitely don't want to miss it. Also, we just released an app. Right now it's for members only, so stay tuned. There's going to be more details on that. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Let me know what kind of content you want to see more of. And until next time.